Welcome back to our channel. I am Julie and this is my husband Jason, and if you missed the introduction, we are doing a series on biblically responsible investing, and we are going through this book, which was written by Mark Manella. This is The Wall Street Awakening, The Heart and Mind of Investing with Biblical Integrity. Mark is the president of the firm that Jason belongs to.
Integrity Investors.
And you can actually find them online. I should have said that in the first video. I will link that below. You can find that online if you are interested in checking them out. But we just really felt a conviction to talk about some of these things. We enjoyed this book and the way he put them, put these concepts and ideas, so we decided to do this video series. So here we are. Today we are going through personal values. It's on page 66, the chapter on personal values.
Yeah, so I've been with Mark for probably been around him rather about a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. And I've heard him say several times in either discussing with me or with other people that your values and beliefs will determine your actions or why you do what you do. And you know, I've heard him quote, I think he said in his book, he says a wise Christian once told him, it says that everything we do is either an act of worship or an act of rebellion towards God. And so that's why it's important for us to be intentional about what we do.
What I took away from this chapter is that it comes down to personal values. And our values are dictating our actions. And so he talks about that the world's values are success and accumulating money and power, and that as Christians, of course, we should have a different set of values that are based on God's Word and our faith in Jesus, and that our actions about finances should also come out of those two values.
So you're honoring God with your money and your finances, not just trying to grow them as fast or as quick as possible.
There is a story in here that I'm going to read to you because I just thought it was really powerful example of this idea. I remember an experiment I observed when I was in college. The instructor explained this was an experiment in sensory perception, and that a blindfolded participant would be exposed to different physical sensations, and then asked to identify what it was. A volunteer was solicited, we'll call him Greg, blindfolded and seated next to the professor in front of the class with his hand and arm laying palm up on the desk. The professor then pulled a tissue out of the tissue box on his desk and gently rubbed it against Greg's forearm and asked him what he thought it was. With confidence, Greg proclaimed it to be a Kleenex. When asked how he could be so sure, he admitted seeing the Kleenex box on the desk, hearing the professor pull it out, and finally feeling it on his arm. With the students still blindfolded, the professor noisily opened a box of matchsticks, pulled one from the box, struck it on the side of the box, and held up the lit match for all to see. Even in the back of the room, I clearly heard the unique scraping sound a match makes as it is struck, and there could be no mistaking the smell of sulfur burning as the match burst into flame. No doubt the blindfolded participant was acutely aware of what was happening as well. Without missing a beat, the professor silently placed the match in an ashtray, grabbed an ice cube from underneath his desk, and touched it directly on Greg's arm. Instantly, Greg screamed and jerked his arm violently away from the desk. As he whipped his blindfold from his face, he began yelling at the professor about being so irresponsible in burning him. It was a good half-minute before he realized the professor was holding an ice cube, not a lit match. Greg's eyes shot back and forth between his arm and the ice cube several times before he finally adjusted to the fact that he had not been burned. Greg fully believed the professor had placed a lit match on his forearm and acted accordingly.
So, in my opinion, this is a great demonstration and illustration of reacting to what you believe. And so, in the same way, it should go for investing. So, when we buy or sell stocks, what we believe in our whole life, or comprehensively, should be considered, and we should be intentional about what we're doing with our investments.
And I personally had no idea the extent of what it meant when you put your money into certain stock, and that is what we're going to get into next week because the next chapter is all about stocks. But I was pretty shocked, and when I talk to people, it's kind of the same reaction. You just don't realize the extent of what you're investing in, which is why we think this is so important to get this message out. So if you saw last week's video, again, you would have seen that Mark is giving away a copy of his book each time that we do one of these videos.
That's right.
And so today in the comments, if you just have any comment that you want to share about this video, or again, any question, or just your thoughts on this topic, or just a, hey, I'm here and I listened, if you could leave that in the comments below, we will choose a random winner from that section.
That's right.
So next week we will be getting into the meat of stocks, what that is, and we hope that you're here to join us and hear a little bit more about it.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.